Hello everyone, thanks for having me. It's a great pleasure to be here. Welcome to Ograda Type Company. Let me show you around. This is the view from my office window. My name is Andrei, and we are located in Runcu, in Dâmbovița. The nearest major city is Târgoviște. We are about 100 kilometers from the capital in Bucharest. And another fun fact, the nearest mountain peak is at about 4 to 6 hours hike, and that's depending on your fitness level. Now, let's get into the office and look at things. Ziua bună! About 3 years ago, I decided to move from the city and be closer to my family, so I moved to the mountainside. And doing so, I also opened my own design studio. And doing good letters is part of that. Find useful projects and products with people involved, and we believe in collaboration and sharing our knowledge. Another thing that's close to my heart is this lettering, and this is something my father used to say. O să fie bine. That's Romanian and it means it's gonna be okay. I used to work in hotels before this. This was about a decade ago. Since then, I've been working in various companies and ad agencies as a graphic designer. And seeing as I had quite an interest in letter forms and typography, over the years I picked up lettering and calligraphy, and later on started studying type design. So seeing as this has become a big part of my life, the obvious step of opening a digital type foundry was there. I can still remember, as a side note, how I dreaded doing my homework for calligraphy back in elementary school, and it makes me smile every time I think about that, seeing as now there are quite a few pieces of paper and scattered sketchbooks all around this room and on the desk where I work, with calligraphy and lettering on them. Now, these are a couple of the typefaces that are available through ograda.co, and I'm happy to let everyone know that you can get them directly from the website, as previously you'd have to email me for a license. Now, this is the first typeface that I ever drew and actually developed and complete, because I did draw quite a few letters or alphabets. And this started as a project back in 2012, and a couple of months afterwards I was contacted by then a French startup that was interested in helping me develop it further and publish it through their online platform. Unfortunately, the deal fell through, and it took me about a couple of years to finish it. I'm actually more fond of the stencil cut that I made for it, and I got to use that a few times around the house. This is a wood crate that I got from IKEA and made to store in it the woodcut version. And I was so happy with having developed the first typeface that I convinced a friend of mine to help me cut it out of cherry wood. Now, the second typeface that I drew was this, Otece Caterina. It's quite bulky or brutalist in a way. It's inspired by a parking sign that belongs to a municipal building in Bucharest. I don't know, and probably nobody knows exactly how it got to be. I only got to look at a few letters on that parking sign, and even after I asked around, I couldn't find any more information. So I decided to complete the alphabet. So this is available as a capital letters only so far, but it still looks cool. Now, after that came Otece Mara. Otece Mara is somewhat of a heavy serif, and somehow pays tribute to typefaces like Cooper Black or Windsor, and it came to be from a branding project for an indie band in Bucharest. So yeah. Another typeface is Otece Monoblocks, and this is more of an experimental typeface or a playful one. I don't know. It was quite fun for me actually to try and imagine as many characters as possible that I could develop by only using a square and a quarter of a circle, a sector of a circle, and this 3x3 grid. I guess this might even have some potential as a woodblock set for children to play with. Now, after moving to the countryside, to Runcu, I started to look around the neighborhood to find any inspiring letter forms, letter shapes that could be round. And actually I didn't get that far. There's a house very near here that was built at the beginning of the 20th century. I believe it was 1902. And it features some very nice wood panels on the sides of the roof that are carved with local motifs, and feature also the date of the build and the name of the owner. And from looking at those letter shapes, I took inspiration and drew this 4-weights family. Another fully Runcu developed typeface is Otece Riga. Otece Riga was drawn after seeing the cover of a Romanian magazine from the 70s. It's a geographical magazine called România Pictorească, and it featured the somewhat similar looking R as seen here on its cover. Now this is Otece Pebbles. Pebbles is a typeface that will be released soon. It's again a display typeface and mostly inspired by surf culture and California vibes from the 60s or the 70s. And it features quite a few of these really nice capital letters, ligature. Now, say hello to our neighbors. There's a very nice event, very nice ceremony that happens each year in this part of the country, when the shepherds come back from the mountain with their herds, and they bring along quite a few dairy products and meat products that they get to sell at the yards. Yeah. So at that time there are quite a few of these furry little animals that get to roam the streets around here. I'm gonna tell you about again another typeface. This is Otece Hitomi 34. This was originally drawn only the regular version, only the regular cut. It was drawn with inspiration from shop sign that had the message, "Don't block the delivery door, don't park delivery door." So yeah, afterwards I developed the slanted and back slanted versions of it. This is a typeface that became quite popular and actually got us through the beginning of the year when business went a bit slow. So here's the sign, and actually in part it draws inspiration from this. This is the typeface used on the title sequence of a show from Romania back in the 80s. I was very happy to see the typeface see the light of print in this publication called FOI. This is by Romanian graphic design studio called Grafomont, which organizes and publishes this catalog each year. It organizes a contest featuring the most beautiful books in Romania, and this is the catalog that accompanies it and features a few articles about the people behind the books. And here are some photos from last year's event when we still could go out and socialize and meet people. So this is another example in use of Hitomi 34, used here by Copper Herford, a graphic design studio for Dortmund, Germany. And this is the identity that they developed for Dortmund Creative, which is a team of people from the city of Dortmund that looks out for the interest of the creative community, creative industry there. So remember the band that I was telling you about earlier? This is them, and yeah, back from when we could go to concerts and bars, pubs. Yeah, have a listen to them. yeah, so I miss those times. That was nice. So that's the logo I drew for them, and this is another lettering piece that I did for their first single release. Also, 2019 saw a few workshops being held by me. This is for a workshop where I got to ask what makes a letter, and it was held in a library in Bucharest for about a couple of months or so each week, where we got to play around and work with brush and the calligraphy and see what makes letters stick. And also I got to be a part of this really great workshop held by Fred Smyers for about a week in Bucharest, where we got to develop a typeface by only using stencils. Again, really good times. And this was the crit show at the end. Now, in the future, I'm looking into developing typeface out of this style of lettering called Romanian Archaic. This here on the right, it's from a book. Is the title of the book called Medieval Inscription of Romania. Sorry about that. And usually you can mostly see this style of lettering being featured mostly on churches or other religious architecture features. And here's an example on the right side of lettering in a similar style, but a little bit more funky. And this is the house I mentioned to you earlier that's been flagged by the Village Museum in Bucharest for preservation. And it would definitely be a shame to lose this house. Now this is how it looks around here. It's usually quite peaceful and very good environment to work in and to even live here. Far better than the city life. So I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you. Come again. Facem litere.